Hello, friends. Glad you could join us. Welcome to the Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi for round 7 of this Monkey Mafia Esports Series season. Really fun track this. Usually a track that highlights the end of a calendar. Here, it highlights pretty much the midway point. But anyway, let's take you through the starting grid for tonight's Grand Prix. It will be Ayahuasca on pole. Only 6/100ths of a second between himself and Granny in second. Reimer behind by just over a tenth in third. Very, very close. Top four even, as Charlie Golf 3/10 of a second behind Caesar in fifth. 3.5 tenths behind. King Pro Player in sixth. 4.5 tenths behind. DWCJ seventh. Eighth is Slayrise. Ninth Jacob. 10th is Ronnie. 11th is Valentine. 13th is El Capitan. 14th JC. 15th is Gatillo. 16th is Monster. 17th Frenchie. Rounding out the grid without a time is Anime Boy in the Williams in 18th. So, driver standings as it goes after Qatar. Reimer only leads Ayahuasca by 21 points, 160 to 139. It'll be Granny in third, actually tied with Cam Tizzle at 123. King Pro Player Lancey, 114, 111. Ronnie at 97. Caesar 83. Charlie Golf 73. Slayrise 64. Jacob 60. Gab 51. And Capitan at 46 as far as the constructors are concerned. McLaren do lead the table only by 6 points over the V-Carbs, 228 to 228 to 222. Aston Martin's lead Haas by 2 points, 187, 185. Mercedes kind of in the middle of that, trying to knock on the door of that battle as well, 171. Alpine, 139. Sauber, 121. Red Bull, 116. Williams, 112. Good battle there towards the back end. And Ferrari in P10. So this Yas Marina circuit has undergone, obviously, unless you've been living under a rock, has gone under a lot of changes, which have made this a much more fun track to drive, fun track to race on as well. I'll tell you right now, it is quite still got some difficulty. That's for sure. I would not be surprised if we saw the occasional virtual safety car or full safety car in effect tonight. Ayahuasca on the grid. That will be the person leading from pole here, Granny, in second, Reimer to third. Now, it's not a very long run into that first corner. Usually, they will not have it sorted by then. I expect to see kind of a Max Verstappen and Oscar Piastri type incident into that first corner, much as what we saw on Sunday. So the question is now going to be who, not necessarily survives, that's kind of the wrong way to put it, but who comes out better? Who leaves that first corner unscathed? It's a very tight first corner. There is runoff on the outside, but the track itself, the racing surface, is not very wide, and it is once again a sharp corner. So I expect to see a bit of conundrum into that first corner. But once again, no formation lap here in Monkey Mafia. So when you see that grid, you know it's go time. This will be, I believe, the final round, second to last round before the Christmas break. Yep, no, we do have Austria, the Red Bull Ring, next time out on the 16th of December. Then we head to the holiday break, which takes us all the way through to January the 6th, when we head to Silverstone for round 9. Those are your next 2 races. 3, I guess. And of course, the third out of that is the Netherlands, January 13th. Netherlands, I hear, is actually not going to be on the schedule past 2026. That's really interesting to me. It's a pretty fun track. It's very old school. I think they're making way for probably South Africa or something. I don't know. Anyway, not the point. The point being here is that we've got 18 cars on this grid all looking to do battle. It's a fun track. It's got a lot of intricacies. DRS galore, except for that first straight, one of the only pit straights in F1 with no DRS down it. A lot of tight corners, a lot of tricky sections, a lot of opportunity for overtaking as well. This should be a fantastic race here today. The overtaking opportunity as well is more or less through that first and second sector. Anything else? What? Oh, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't you do this to me, you sad piece of I'm not even going to say that. Yeah, I do not know what's happened there. I'm trying to rejoin this as fast as I can. Hopefully they're not already started. They probably are, but that's okay. Oh, please don't tell me. This is painful. This is painful. This is so painful. We're going to miss the start because the game has decided not to exist correctly. This is just such a terrible turn of events here. I can guarantee we're already through that first corner. Yep, and here we go. Well, as it turns out, Reimer has dropped to 5th. After that, Ayahuasca has actually lost that spot to Caesar. Majority of the grid on the medium tires, as you can see. Caesar up 4 spots. Reimer down to 5th. Ayahuasca has lost the top spot. Charlie Golf has actually stayed stationary in 4th. Granny down to 3rd. So it looks as if the majority of the movement has happened more or less towards the back end of the grid. Couple of positions getting shifted around there in the meantime. But the V-Carb top 2, that's where we're at now. As they make their way down in towards the sweeping left-handed hairpin. That doesn't really make any sense. The left-handed hairpin of turn 5. The 2 V-Carbs will make their way now down the back straight. Ayahuasca following in behind. Granny in 3rd. I'm just still wondering what happened to Reimer off that opening go. Of course, I think if he had that outside line, he probably would have shoved out of position by either Granny or Charlie Golf. Speaking of Granny, he's actually going to get around Caesar. Caesar's lost a couple of spots there. Not only has he lost it to Charlie Golf, I think he's lost it to Granny as well. So Caesar losing 2 or 3 spots there in just that one little go. Reimer's actually going to have a bit of a look now at the back end of the V-Carb as they make their way in towards turn number 9, the big sweeping left-handed corner, 13 to 16. That's your tire pit window for mediums to hards. As they make their way now in through turns 10, 11, and 12. They've had to sort that one out rather quickly. It does get quite tricky through there, as naturally 2 cars don't necessarily fit side by side through there, and if they do, it's damn talent by both of them. Well, the grid is seemingly calmed down here. It doesn't appear anybody is needed to stop for front wing changes, which is good. Looks as if, for the most part, we've not entirely missed a lot here in the opening start. Granny's actually gone back up to 2nd. Reimer's still down in 5th. I'm still wondering what's happened there. Caesar's gone wide through that 1st and 2nd corner. It looks as if he's gotten back on track, surely with a warning now. In towards turn 5. Let's see if Granny's going to be able to make a move at Ayahuasca this time. Probably not going to be here, but with DRS down into that chicane at 6 and 7. Now, this chicane is very difficult because it's not really an overtaking type chicane. It more or less sets up the run for the next section of DRS, as Granny is going to try it around the right side. That one will come a bit easy, as the V-Carb's got really nothing there. Got to kind of take the exit of this first corner a little bit wider because there's so much curb on the way out, and it is difficult to get the power down, as Granny has demonstrated there with not the best getaway. Ayahuasca is going to have a much good opportunity at him here around the right side. And as they make their way towards turn 9, Charlie Golf also wants a little bit of a peek there. He's not quite going to get it. Ronnie's gotten around King Pro Player down to the inside at turn 9. Looks as if they've sorted themselves out there. 10th and a half, 2 tenths. From Charlie Golf back to Granny. Ayahuasca in this picture as well, naturally, as the race leader. Ayahuasca, we know, once he gets into clean air, is one of the quickest cars on track. There's no doubt about it. Capitan and JC side by side as they go under the hotel, as Valentine looks in and hopes for a mistake by the LP, not necessarily his teammate, but positions gained, as Capitan has gotten around the Alpine there. That's some good points potentially on the way for the Ferraris. As they make their way now out of turns 1 and 2, Ayahuasca does lead Granny 7.5 tenths of a second. Charlie Golf behind by 4 tenths. Caesar 3 tenths. Reimer 6 tenths of a second. Ronnie kind of in on this as well. Oh, a bit of it. I think Granny wanted to the inside there of, or Charlie Golf wanted it to the inside of Granny. I'm not too sure the space was available. He had to back himself out as they make their way down towards turns 6 and 7. Now, if Granny gets a good exit out of this chicane here, he could very well have a reasoning to be able to make an overtake in towards turn 9. Let's find out. And again, he's found a lot of back-end slippage there. Ayahuasca has not really gotten away much better, we'll say that. Very even between the two exiting that corner. Matter of fact, I think Ayahuasca probably lost a couple of tenths there as they make their way heading towards turn 9. Charlie Golf really trying to hurl himself into this battle. He's now, I think what we're seeing out of Charlie Golf for the time being, he's really trying to find something different between the two. Usually, some good pace requires a bit of copycat to the 2 cars ahead of you. Not necessarily the case here for Charlie Golf. He wants to find something different that works for him. As we saw, he really lunged himself into that 9th corner, which in real life, we see drivers take around the high line all the time. It's not quite happening in the virtual world. Zandvoort's a good example of that. In that 3rd corner, Hugenholtz, they ride around the outside like it's a NASCAR corner, which it pretty much is. And in the game, we don't really see that. They hang it really close to the apex. So I'm wondering if Charlie Golf does find something that gives him a slight advantage. Ayahuasca's gone off track ahead. So is Caesar that time. We can assume Caesar is at least now on 2 warnings in these first 5 laps. 29 laps scheduled here. As Ronnie to the back end of Reimer as they make their way heading in towards turn 5. Charlie Golf once again, maybe a little bit of contact there to the back end of Granny. Really nothing to complain about, I don't think. King Pro Player the tail end of this queue as they make their way towards 6 and 7. Charlie Golf might have a look to the inside of Granny. No, not quite. Not going to happen this time. Rapid Reimer now. Oh, look at this. Caesar's really going to go for it on Charlie Golf, and he has, but I'm afraid. I think he may have made contact there with Granny because his car has gone around. He's tumbling down the order, and Caesar's now got 3 seconds for corner cutting. Charlie Golf and Granny side by side, and all the while, Ayahuasca ahead as over a second to gap. Charlie Golf has now displaced Granny in question, and now Reimer and Ronnie battling it out through the 9th corner. Reimer to the inside has been able to keep track of that one. Slayerized, might be under pressure here from Jacob. Jacob looking to the inside through 10, 11, and 12. This is a tricky one here, and the Williams actually going to make that move look very nice. Nicely done by Jacob. I just wonder what happened with Caesar there going through 6 and 7. I wonder if, did he get hit? Did he get tagged from behind? Did he lose it on his own? It doesn't appear that he's got any visible damage on the front of his car. Slightly odd position to the track to lose it. You don't really lose it on the way in through turn 6 and 7. You more or less lose it on the way out. So that's a little odd. Granny having a bit of a tough time keeping it within track limits there. Reimer is doing okay for the time being. Ronnie still behind, 10th and a half to the back end of the McLaren. Heading in towards 5 they go. Ronnie does not quite have a look. You definitely tell he's hungry for one, but not quite. Ronnie looks as if he's got a damn good getaway there. May be able to challenge Reimer in towards that 6th and 7th corner. Let's see as they make their way down the straight. Ayahuasca still leads 0.6 of a second. Reimer will now look to the inside of Granny. Heading in towards turn 6. He's going to be later on the brakes and is. That may compromise his way through 6 and 7, but he's parked it on the apex of 6, and he's been able to get away really well. Granny's actually done pretty good himself. That overtake has not phased him, and now might be able to get Reimer back in through 9. They'll go the long way around through turn 9. Charlie Golf is now within 0.2 of Ayahuasca ahead, so maybe with the DRS from the Sauber, he's starting to get back in picture here, because once again, Ayahuasca in clean air is a very dangerous driver as far as the pace he does show time and time again. But Charlie Golf, for the time being, looks to have his number, at least for now. Ronnie, 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths back to Reimer. King Pro Player. Oh, and Ayahuasca's gone around. This is exiting the Latifi corner. Oh, and that's such a... I mean, I don't think he's hit anything. No, he hasn't. But this Latifi corner here, if we can go through it with JC, it is off camber slightly. The car does naturally want to push to the outside. It is very common now that we do see cars go around through that Latifi corner on pure oversteer, and I think that's exactly what's happened with Ayahuasca. He's had nobody around him. He's lost it on its own, and now finds himself in 9th. It's been a very poor start here. This first 7 laps for both the V-Carbs. The 2 guys who were leading after lap 2 now find themselves 6th and 9th. It's not been a nice start for them whatsoever. Ronnie to the inside of Reimer, trying to find his way along the back end of the McLaren here. He'll have to maybe try to dive the inside. He'll actually choose the outside here as they make their way into 6 and 7. Oh, and look at that King Pro Player there as well. 2 by 2 they go for the top 5 positions. This is premium driving here, Monkey Mafia Esports. As we go there, Reimer, I think, may have almost been squeezed off the track there by whoever it was. He'll stay 4th, but as they make their way now in towards turn 9, let's see who's going to make a move. Oh, they're going to try to go 3 wide and through the corner. King Pro around the outside. He's made it happen. Only just is he able to hold on. Bit of wiggling from the cars behind him. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All within a half a second of each other here. Oh, in towards 10 and 11. Contact made between a couple of them. I think Granny's gone a little bit wide. Reimer has caught it behind Caesar and Charlie Golf. Charlie's had some sort of bad go through that corner. Lots of cars making contact there. Again, that corner, how it's set up, is difficult to go 2 cars in through. Never mind a 5 in short span like that. Very, very tricky. Three-tenths of a second now. Ronnie to Reimer as they make their way through turns 2, 3, and 4 and down into 5. Three-tenths of a second the gap now. Ronnie can potentially find a look back to Reimer. Caesar's about 6.5 tenths behind. Charlie Golf about a second behind him. I'm not too sure Charlie's going to get DRS to the back end of Caesar. I'm not actually convinced. Meanwhile, King Pro Players actually put out a healthy gap back to Granny. It's about a 1.5 seconds now as 2, 3, and 4 come through here. Reimer around the outside of Granny. Ronnie's actually going to try to send it to the... actually, I was going to say, he went for the outside. Granny's taking him back on the inside there. Potentially a switchback happened. As we do have a yellow flag. Jacob's gone around. Something has happened there with Jacob. He's found himself to the inside of that 9th corner. It seems he's gotten it back up and running. I think he may have potentially had help there. Not too sure. That's a bit of a weird incident to have. Hopefully everything's been okay with him. As we do get back going here, again, nobody has needed to stop so far for wing changes, which is very good to see, as Gatillo is going to be our second victim of track limits penalty. A reminder of the tires that we find each other on. King Pro Players gone hard. The rest of the grid, minus that of Frenchie, are medium. So the two Mercedes are hard for this occasion. And it seems for the time being that King Pro's hard tires are holding on very well. Matter of fact, he stayed very competitive there, despite the rest of the grid around him being on mediums. And once again, that pit window is around that halfway mark, lap 15, is what the game told us in the beginning. So I'm assuming here, King Pro is going to continue to kind of push ahead, while the rest of these guys in the mediums are going to stay close with each other in battle. As granted to the inside of Rapid Reimer in towards 6, he'll have him well before the corner, and up back to the 2nd spot. As we look behind, Capitan, about a 10th, he'll go to the inside of Slayer Eyes, and up to 9th. We've also got JC and Monster side by side, as JC is going to get around the Red Bull in question. Ronnie's actually gotten around Reimer. He's going for Granny as well. Yes, he has. Around the outside, Ronnie 2 positions in that DRS section. Nicely done up to 2nd. Reimer, I tell you what, has actually got a lot of competition today. Usually we talk about Reimer as one of the best drivers on the grid. Usually not a lot of people can touch him, minus that of maybe King Pro, Caesar, and Ayahuasca. Now we got, 3, 4 cars in and amongst the mix here, probably 5. Once the stop is made and we're kind of on level pegging as far as, strategy is concerned. Tell you what, Reimer's going to have to work for this one if he wants to win. Podium would be a realistic expectation. Caesar, oh, look at this, moving to turn 1, to the inside goes Caesar. And I think Reimer maybe was not expecting that one. You don't often see moves into that first corner, as JC is going to have a go around in the Latifi corner. You don't often see moves get made into that first corner. Again, there's no DRS down the pit straight. It's, aside from the first lap, it's very solemnly we see something being made through there, and we just have. So Reimer must have made some mistake exiting that corner, or either that or Caesar's done something exceptionally well. Maybe a bit of both. As Charlie Golf has gone around, he seems to have caught the car. He'll drop back. Oh, and that car will unghost itself right in the middle of traffic. He'll fall to 8th, and he won't have DRS either. Yeah, not an ideal start, and Reimer down to 5th now. Oh, maybe a little struggle getting the power down there. Those curbs on the outside will not help you, that's for sure. Heading now towards turn 9. Granny does lead. Ronnie does lead this second group here, minus that a King Pro player ahead by about a 1.5 seconds. That's a big slide for the Alpine. He's caught it well. Not really in any danger. Oh, no, we have another yellow flag towards the back. Gatillo's gone around exiting the chicane, as we do have Valentine getting overtaken by Anime Boy around the outside. Capitan and Slayer Eyes were in a small battle there. Seems they've settled that one. Heading through that final corner of turn 16 and down the pit straight again. And remember, getting closer to that pit window. Of course, we don't really know what the 2 Mercedes cars are going to do. They're the only 2 on the grid on those hard tires, as we do have Monster, who has gone around to the Latifi corner, as well as Gatillo, I think, has lost a couple of spots there. Not really sure what's happened, as Jacob is going to get 3 seconds for multiple warnings. Jacob into the pit lane, and our first pit stop of the day is going to be because of that front wing. I would assume the end plate on the left side. Very unfortunate there. We do also have Caesar was just about within a 10th of Granny there not too long ago. Oh, and into the back end of Granny there. As Granny's going to try to look forward on Ronnie here. Round the outside of the Alpine in question. Down the pit straight they go as we do begin the 12th lap of the Grand Prix, already pretty much halfway through, as we do see Reimer into the pit lane. As Anime Boy has retired, that is on track, and we got a safety car. Yes, that is. That's coming. Oh, goodness me. He's hit that wall a ton. Where has he done that? That's coming in between 15 and 16. That is really, really odd of a place to have gone round. Must have absolutely lit the tires up coming out of 15. Even then, I don't know how that would happen. We have a safety car on track now, about to begin our 13th lap of the Grand Prix. Sorry, continuation of the 12th lap of the Grand Prix. Oh, for God's sakes. This game is a steaming pile of dog shit. There's just no other way to put it, really. Can't even let me leave the session right now, because that's what the problem is that we're in the middle of having left the... Never mind. It's not a just genuine point. Like... This has happened twice now, just awfully terrible points. All right, let's see if we can get back in it. As far as I know, that safety car's still out on track. Whether or not we're in a position of actual safety car, or that was my game just being stupid, could be either or. Yeah, we are still under safety car here, as we do have a lot of cars coming into the pit lane now. We've got King Pro Player for those medium tires, as we kind of expected. So, that's not right, surely. Intermediate tires for Caesar. Get out of here. Not a chance. Not a chance it rains in Abu Dhabi. Get out of here. That's got to be some sort of horrendous mistake. There's just not a chance. Anyways, the majority of the grid has gone hard. JC Auto Labs has gone soft. Charlie Golf on the mediums. King Pro Player on the mediums as well. Caesar, once again, for whatever reason, on the intermediate tires. Couldn't tell you. King Pro Player now, really, you'd have to think, is probably the best off out of the grid here, because he's on those medium tires. That's a bit much. That's a bit rich, because naturally, as we saw... I mean, that's an interesting question, because as we saw, the medium tires did start to go away around that 8th lap mark, and he's still going to have well over 10 laps to go. I mean, this is going to be a proper... race stint for these medium tires, and it's gone probably a lap or two early, I would say. Of course, we have time under the safety car here. That's all fine and dandy. But, yeah, still, that's a little... Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, what else are you going to do, right? You're not going to go to the hards again, because you've already... You have to make your stop to the different compound. I'm just very curious as to what Caesar has done here. There's just no way that this was on purpose. Unless he knows something we don't. I don't know. Have they put cloud seeding back into effect? I think once I did see Jarno Otmir have a wet race in Abu Dhabi. Sky does look quite gray, I'll admit that. Yeah, okay, Caesar into the pit lane. Not a flippin' clue what that's about. Started on the medium. Oh, hang on. Could he be clever here? Started on the medium tires. Ran for a lap on the intermediates. Could he go back to the mediums here? He's on the hards. That's really odd. That is very, very odd. I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, very interesting. We do still have the majority of the grid on the hard tires. King Pro the mediums, Charlie Golf the mediums. Oh, for God's sakes, don't do this to me now. Charlie Golf the mediums, Frenchie the mediums, JC the softs, Gatillo the softs, as we are still about halfway through this race. Damn it. Come on now. What are we doing? What are we doing here? What is this? This is just rancid, actually. It's the third time I've been kicked from the game now. Just genuinely awful, this. This is just not... Oh, for God's sakes, man. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Oh, God give me strength. Because genuinely, this thing is testing me now. Okay, so, safety car would have surely came in by now. Yeah, we are back up to racing condition as we do see Charlie Golf and Capitan side by side, banging wheels there through that first corner. As down the hill in towards turn 5 they go. A lot of cars having changed position, a lot of penalties now, the 4 of them. As down the straight, heading in towards 6 and 7. Let's see what Granny decides to do. He wants to make an overtake. Oh, he's going to go for it in the end. King Pro might get swallowed up here by Reimer as well as they exit 6 and 7. Granny's your new leader. Ronnie behind may have Reimer around the outside as they go down the backstretch, heading in towards that sweeping left-hander of turn 9. Let's find out. Ronnie still around the outside. Will be able to have enough pace there. They'll have to probably try to cut down Reimer to the inside. No, it's not quite going to happen. Gab's going to pick up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. We have a yellow flag at the back. It's the V-Carb of Caesar who's gone round. Ayahuasca's worked his way back up to 4th as we are still, halfway through this Grand Prix. Through the Latifi corner now, 10th and a half between Ronnie and Reimer, 15 and 16 now. You just got to think once DRS is activated, we're going to see a lot of moving here. I'm a little surprised King Pro has not gotten away as best as he probably should have on those medium tires. He's actually been rightly challenged by everybody else on the hards, which, again, I didn't quite expect. I would have figured those mediums would be really good at the start, because, again, we saw King Pro player have good pace, but those mediums in the beginning, at least for that first 8 laps of the stint, was really, really good. And King Pro player found his way, after that 8th lap, and that's when he really started to pull away. So these hard tires, I'm really surprised, are hanging on as well as they are. And the mediums of King Pro player, he's going to have to really almost kind of use them up right now to not necessarily stay in the fight. That's kind of the wrong way to put it, but he's got to find some sort of advantage now, because if he doesn't, it's all going to go to hell. And going to hell, it just might be between Charlie Golf and Valentine. Bit of contact there. They've actually kept it in heaven, that one. Capitan, I'm afraid, has found the... well, I was going to say the wrong way around. He's actually correctly oriented there. Through turn 9 they go. Granny leads 4/10 to King Pro. Leads 10th and a half to Reimer. Leads 2/10 to Ronnie. As now through 10, 11, and 12 they go. Very, very close indeed. Now even between the top 5 is Ayahuasca trying to get in on this. Charlie Golf is going to pick up a penalty. 6th driver of the day with a time penalty to their name as they make their way through 15 and 16. Once again, halfway through this race. Getting closer to the final 10 laps of the Grand Prix is Monster to the inside of Jacob. I think, oh, that's a lot of contact there. Sliding all over the track is Monster. After having, I think he went way to the inside there through 15. I think may have hit the barrier or got loose on the curb and ran into the side of Jacob. That was a lot of conundrum there for Monster. It doesn't appear he's hit anything aside from the Williams in question. But Granny is currently ahead, making their way down towards 6 and 7. Ayahuasca following in suit. And I tell you what, Ayahuasca now really has himself a good position. He's on even tires, even Stevens with the cars around him. And now we can expect to see Ayahuasca, I think, probably get himself back into the picture here for winning this race. I realistically, this is a 5-car battle for the win here. I'm not sure Gab and Charlie Golf, they're quick in their own right. I'm not sure they can overcome their penalties at this stage in the race, unless maybe, you know, we stay green to the end and we got some mistakes happening up front. If another safety car comes out and they're toasted because, you know, you bunch up the grid, you're not going to be able to get around that 3-second penalty. So call this a 5-car battle for the win here, as Ronnie tails Ayahuasca behind Reimer by 3.5 tenths, behind King Pro Player by 5 tenths, and behind the leader of Granny by 3.5 tenths, and Ronnie's up to 3 seconds in penalty now. That may just whittle this battle down to 4, although what I will say is this. I would assume the top 4 here are probably at least on 2 warnings as well. That's kind of the million-dollar question, is if mistakes are made, will they go punished, or will they go slap on the wrist? Because right now, I think we can at least say that Ayahuasca is probably on 2. Reimer, although I haven't seen any mistake by him, is probably on 2 as well. This is a difficult track to keep within the white line, especially that first corner. The rest of it, I'm not going to say is simple. Exiting that final corner will get you. Exiting the first corner will get you. The chicane here probably won't unless you're unless you cut the corner or you're all 4 on the way out, which probably isn't going to happen. 9's not going to get you. 10, 11, and 12 might if you cut the corner. 13 and 14, the Latifi corner, probably won't get you. 15 might if you go wide. 16 will if you go wide. So the driver's trying to take... Well, maybe they're on the exit of 9. I didn't really think that was a possibility to go wide there, but they're trying to test the limits as much as they can. It's usually something we see. Is now Caesar. 6 seconds in penalty for him. So yeah, I would probably guess the top 4 on at least 2 warnings here. 1 to 2. If they don't have any, I'd be more surprised. That basically tells us this. We get to a situation where the top 4 are all on 3-second penalty. It's even Stevens once again, and we're out here racing for a win. Of course, you got guys like Valentine, Slayerized, Frenchie, not on penalty, but of course they're behind 3 seconds back to this battle for the top 4. As King Pro Player really wants to have a look at Granny here. It's not quite close. Ayahuasca in pursuit of Reimer. Ronnie's in this battle as well. Mind you, Ronnie, despite being on that penalty, is still in the mindset of, hey, I want to win this race. You know, there's a scenario where, Reimer into the back of King Pro. It's a massive accident now. Wow. I'm not even genuinely sure who the blame goes on that one. Wow, Reimer and King Pro, as we know, good friends, teammates, and I think at least CCRL, I think good friends no matter what. That is a massive accident there, as Reimer's been disqualified for going the wrong way. That is a huge incident. They were going down the backstretch. They were going towards 6 and 7. I don't know if Reimer made a late move. Reimer maybe made contact to the back end of King Pro. That's just a massive accident there, and has taken 2 key players out of contention. And meanwhile, Ayahuasca has now picked up a tenner for multiple warning, a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. We got 10 laps to go. That's what I meant to say. As Valentine has now also picked up 3 seconds. Granny, the leader, is the only driver to have yet to pick up a 3-second penalty out of the top 6 cars. Only 3 out of the top 10 without penalty. Granny, Slayerized, and Frenchie. As we have a yellow flag. I think that was briefly exiting turn 2. Whatever it was, has sorted itself rather quickly. So now the question is this. Does Ayahuasca try to force Granny into a mistake? As we have another yellow flag. It's the Red Bull of somebody exiting that corner. Do we see somebody try to force Granny into a mistake here? Could it be Ronnie to the inside? Wheel to wheel, heading through 6 and 7. It's going to take some doing here. I think Granny, all he's got to do is just keep really, really careful. No mistakes from Granny. Turn some complete laps. You know, let the 2 battle in front of you. Because mind you, those guys with the penalties ahead of you are battling for position. Granny does not have penalty and is still in position to win this race if the results hold. But still, the guys around him are still fighting. So maybe Granny is hoping that he can just turn some clean laps and get away with it. He's got 3.8, nearly 4 seconds back to Gab. in that 4th spot. Granny's actually gone all 4 over the inside of the curb there, going through 16. Oh, and he's going to brake a little bit late there. Ayahuasca went wide through 1. Slayer Eyes in the position. Slayer Eyes will be making up at least 3 positions here. Probably up to 4th if this result holds. He won't get onto the podium. Gab is still 4.2 behind Granny. Therefore, neither of these drivers involved would lose their podium positions. And what order they're in is up to them. But yeah. Oh, into the back end of Ronnie. Oh, goodness me. Has he lost wing? No, he hasn't, but goodness me, that's the sort of thing to get your heart rate going is side by side. Charlie Golf round Gab. Slayer Eyes and Valentine battling it out now. And Slayer Eyes is going to dispatch to the Ferrari in question. To the inside through 9. Granny has had that little error there. Could that snowball into something else? That's the big question now, because if Granny picks up a penalty, Ayahuasca is now in control of this race. Ayahuasca, remembered, started on pole, fell back, had the spin coming out of the Latifi corner early on. Safety car came out, he got himself back into contention. And now, I mean, Granny's just got to keep it between the lines. Let's put it that way. He keeps it between the lines, he wins the race. We are, of course, within 10 laps to go. Just a reminder, next time out we do head to the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria. As not to mention, oh, is Monster's retired? Is that in the pit lane? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Monster has retired in the pit lane. King Pro Player has since stopped and has got a new front wing. Frenchie's just come in. Medium tires for the both of them as... Oh, big slide for Ayahuasca. Does he hold on? He does, but he's going to lose both spots in the process. That is rancid. That's another huge error from Ayahuasca tonight. That really cost him position. At the line this time, we'll have 7 laps to go as Gab will get round Charlie Golf. Looking for the time being, he will keep that... Well, he'll fall down to 5th after Slayer Eyes gets promoted with no penalty. Granny back up to 2nd now as Ayahuasca's error costs him. Ronnie, for the time being, is still in control, at least on track. Whether or not it stays that way, we'll have to wait and see. Granny still has, again, 7 laps to go. That's a long time. First of all, let me just say this. When you're on two warnings, as a driver, 2 track limits warnings, as Charlie Golf's going to get round, Slayer Eyes is going to get round Charlie Golf. Charlie Golf's actually picked up 3 seconds into the pit lane there. That's a little odd. As a driver, you know exactly how many warnings you're on. First one, no big deal. Second one, you really, really start to pay attention to. Granny, if he's on 2 warnings right now, I'm assuming Granny's on 1 warning. You know why? Because Granny hasn't shown any hesitancy in the lines he's taking. If he was on 2 warnings, he'd be very tentative going through corners. He'd be taking them a lot slower than they need to be. Like we'll look here. Obviously, this isn't a very good example. You don't really pick up penalty here. Through that corner, through 7. No, I mean, there's just no compromisation of his line whatsoever. I want to look through turn 16. Ronnie around the outside of Granny. I want to look through 16. That's 15 and 16. That's going to be the real tell as to how many warnings he does have. As Slayer is going to get around Gab there, side by side. Going up through 9. Uh-oh, a little bit of contact there. Got to hold on, fellas. And yeah, looks like Slayer Eyes is going to be okay with that one. So 6 laps to go at the line. Let's see. Yeah, you could see he's really kind of, not saying parking it on the apex of the corner there. Let's see through 1. Down to 4th, yeah. Oh, I think Granny might be on 2 warnings here because you can tell he's going slower than he needs to be through 16 and turn 1. Turn 1, the game tells you to go down to 4th gear. Really, it's a comfortable 5th gear. You could take that in. 16, it wants you to go down to 3rd, but kind of keep towards the outside to get the run down the pit straight. As it turns out, Granny's actually taking that final corner really shallow. So this tells me Granny, I would guess, is probably on 2 warnings right now. He's not racing like it. He's still putting together some good laps. As a matter of fact, he's going to get Ronnie here into 6 and 7. But 1 track limits violation by Granny, and it could very well be anyone's game for the win. Not to mention Slayer Eyes. I mean, let's look at Slayer Eyes here. 6.3 behind. As Ronnie's going to get back around the outside of the Aston Martin. Slayer Eyes a little bit further behind, but that 4th place will be really, really good for him, as it's looking like a fantastic day for the Astons for the time being, as Gab and Slayer Eyes, side-by-side contact into the corner. Gab's going to float high. Slayer Eyes will stay on the inside. Wheel to wheel they go, heading out of turn 9 through 10, in towards 11 and 12. And yeah, Gab's going to get that one for now. Granny through 15. Yeah, a little shallow. Now through 16. Yeah, you can tell he's trying to be extra careful. Not very often you'll see drivers preemptively work against trying to have a 3-second penalty. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 5 laps to go. Not often you will see drivers with only 1 warning preemptively trying to avoid track limits. It doesn't usually work like that. That first warning is really a throwaway. It enters your mind, no doubt, but you're not going to look for it, and it's not going to play an impact on how you drive. Granny now, I could assume on 2 warnings. Next one, next over the line, is the 3rd, and that's the penalty, as Ayahuasca gets around Ronnie as well. So for Granny, once again, just got to keep it clean through these final couple of laps. That's the question. That is the big picture here. Slayer Eyes to the inside of Gab through 6 and through 7. He's got him there. Ronnie now, 10th and a half behind Ayahuasca, up now, trying to go through turn 9. Yeah, not quite. Not quite this time. 4 laps to go at the line. Gab getting around Slayer Eyes to the inside. Oh, bit of contact there. Oh, no, Slayer Eyes has lost position. Yes, he has. Slayer Eyes, he's caught it. He's lost down to 6. Thankfully, I think he can still probably get the spots back after penalty, as we do have a yellow flag. What's going on here? Valentine is slow. What's happened here? Valentine has made some sort of an error along the way. Falls back to 6. Not really sure. Yeah, not sure what the deal is there. 4 laps to go now. Granny exiting turn 1 again. Extra careful of those white lines. Like an alcoholic with the keys, he's being very wary of the white lines. That was probably the worst joke I've ever said. Anyway, not the point. Let's see if Ayahuasca now can force Granny into a mistake. Ayahuasca's at the point where you're with a 3-second penalty towards the back end of the race. You really got to hope that the guy behind you picks up a penalty, because unless he does, it's just not going to be your first place to keep. Ayahuasca is just, I don't think he's unless Granny makes a huge mistake or picks up a penalty, he's not going to lose 3 seconds to Ayahuasca in the final 3 laps of this Grand Prix. Round the outside through 9, not going to have it. Checks back to the inside, also not there. Ronnie in position as well. Tell you what, Ronnie's pressuring Granny a lot. Remember, Ronnie and Ayahuasca, it's irrelevant what the Aston Martin's doing. Those two are in a battle, and right now, that Aston is just in the way as Valentine follows in behind Gab and Slayer Eyes as they make their way out of 9. Still side by side, heading towards 10, 11, and 12. Yeah, Val's going to be a little far away to make a move there, but he's definitely hungry for one. 3 laps to go. Yellow flag coming out of the chicane. Frenchie seems to have had a slight slide or something. Whatever it was, he's caught it, and we're back up to racing. Charlie Golf, 3 seconds of penalty, up to 9 seconds. Currently the most penalty of the day. Oh, a Caesar! Round out of the final corner, has lost the end plate on the front wing. Bims it into the fence. That could very well... I mean, it's not going to be a safety car now. We got no time left for it. I think 3 laps earlier, that would have absolutely been a safety car. Not even a virtual. That car is removed from the circuit, and Caesar's day is done, as Granny's going to get back round Ayahuasca in what definitely could have been a very high point scoring day for the V-Carbs. Looks like they're going to be overshadowed now by the Aston Martins. I mean, Ayahuasca is still going to walk away with good points. The Ferraris are going to get some great points here. Currently 10th in the table. If the result holds, they're going to have a great day. 7th or 6th and 8th. That'd be great. As we got a Sauber. Oh, Gatillo's spun coming out of the first corner there on a soft tire. Gab and Slayerize once again trading spots there at the line. This time will be 2 laps to go. As Gatillo has retired, that being on track, I don't believe it's a crash. Unless it is, I'm not entirely sure. 2 laps to go at the line. And either way, I think that car has been removed from the circuit. Not quite. Yeah, finally has. Hey, he was over by the side. I think he's retired on track, and the car's pulled itself to the marshal's post. Either way, 2 laps to go. For Granny, I think he's just got to hold on. I think he can't be dumb here. He's got to realize where he's at. If he tries too hard to defend or race Ayahuasca or Ronnie behind him, he's just not going to be able to have it. Slayer is behind half a second away from Gab. As Ayahuasca, there he goes. As it turns out from Reimer, we were wondering what happened to him on the start. As it turns out, his wheel disconnected. As Ronnie has not made the corner over the chicane. So Reimer's wheel has disconnected. That's the reason why he fell back initially. And of course, he got into King Pro Player there. That was the reason for his DNF, his DSQs, because he was going the wrong way. I think he was just kind of backing his way down the track to kind of separate himself from that. King Pro Player, I do believe, actually has fastest lap, though. Yes, he does. So could still walk away with that point, at least. But now out of the final corner for the penultimate time, Granny's got 1 lap of the Aston Marina circuit between himself and a win, and what a win it would be as well. Not to mention, it would be a great result for the Astons, 1st and 4th. The Ferraris look to be on a great one here, 6th and 8th. That would be a hell of a result there, unless Reimer loses the spot to Jacob. Of course, at that point, 7th and 8th. Still, great result that would be. As Granny leads to that 5th corner once again. Oh, Ayahuasca's actually gotten kind of out of line there. I think Ayahuasca had to kind of react defensively there. I think he was going to go into the back of Granny. That's certainly what it looked like. In towards 6 and 7 for the final time. Ayahuasca's actually going to go a little bit precautionary there. Trying, I think now Ayahuasca's purpose is to try to defend from the Alpine. He's actually going to go around the outside of Granny now. Ronnie looking for it around the outside of the Aston as well. Granny, don't race them, please. He's going to stay up to 2nd. Ronnie's not going to be able to make that happen, but Ronnie, oh, and there's a 6th. That's 6 seconds of penalty for Ronnie. He wanted to the inside of Granny. He wanted to be able to get back up to Ayahuasca, and he wanted to do so as quick as he could. It's not been able to happen. Out of the Latifi corner for the final time. Ayahuasca appears as if he's going to cross the line first, but it will be Granny in the Aston Martin. What a win it is for him here. He will win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Ayahuasca 2nd, Ronnie 3rd. Gab appears to be finishing 4th. No, Slayerize is going to take that 4th spot, yeah. Slayerize is going to take 4th after penalties when they cross the line here. Very nicely done for Slayerize. 1st and 4th for the Astons. Valentine 6th. Capitan seems to have fallen to 9th. He's going to get back to 8th. 6th and 8th for the Ferraris. What a result. JC Autolabs will most likely be losing at least, I think, both the spot to Frenchie and DW as well with that penalty. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for bearing with me in the connection troubles I've had tonight. Be sure to join us next time out when we head to the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, Austria for Round 8 of the Monkey Mafia Esports season for Hotspot. It has been a pleasure once again joining you here. We'll see you next time.